we're supposed to be connected to, because they've told us you gotta walk this tightrope and this line, and if you walk all off the line, he's gonna send you to hell. You could live 30 years worshiping and living for him, make one error, and if you die in that error, you're going to hell. What in the name of common sense does that mean? Are you crazy? Why would I even serve him if he's that sadistic and masochistic? I don't need a God like that. And so if I am so focused on staying on the line, I can't fulfill my assignment. But my God is big enough to handle my fault, my screw-ups, my mess-ups, because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. Oh God, y'all didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. of you are even afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
Thank you for joining us. Please take a moment and like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. If you are finding value in these enrichment sessions, please consider supporting this page financially. Your donations allow us to continue to provide spiritual enlightenment, self-exploration, and kingdom knowledge. Also, consider becoming a partner because partnerships have this privilege. As a partner, you'll be able to attend our annual Partners Only Summer Summit, join us for our 6 a.m. virtual daily guided meditation sessions, weekly advanced empowerment sessions, regular prophetic insights and instructions, 30% discount on all Emerge books and merchandise, and a custom Emerge t-shirt. You'll also gain full access to the private Emerge Movement community page as well as group chats. Once again, thank you for watching.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the Emerge Empowerment Session. I'm your host, Isaac J. Miles Sr., and I am ecstatic, so happy and excited that you have chosen to join me this morning for this empowerment session. As always, I'm going to ask those of you who are viewing me right now to do me a couple of favors, if you will. Please like this video. Whether you're watching us via Facebook or on the YouTube channel, please like the video, like, and follow or subscribe if you're watching it by way of YouTube. And then those of you watching us on Facebook, I'm asking you to tag as many of your friends and loved ones as you can in the comments so that they can be notified that we're on the air, and invite them to come over and be a part of this conscious conversation. Share this broadcast, if you will. Those of you watching on Facebook as well as on YouTube, hit the share button and send it out to your group chats and your groups that you're involved in on social media. Send it out to your friends and family, your cousins, your mom, your dad, your sisters, and everybody so that you can invite them to come and be a part of this conscious conversation. We want everyone to contribute to the robust conversation that we will have this morning surrounding our topic. I am asking for your help to help build and expand this platform so that we're able to touch as many lives as we possibly can. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for being here today. Thank you for your willingness to participate, to hear, and to contribute to the conversation. Now, as always, as we get into our conversation for this morning, the comments are wide open. So if you have a comment or question, a contribution that you'd like to make to the conversation, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments. In some cases, I'll pull your comments and questions up on screen so that others are able to see them, and we're able to discuss it further. So please don't hesitate to participate. Your participation is a vital part of the conversation that we're having each and every empowerment session. These empowerment sessions are designed with you in mind. They are designed to equip you and empower you on your spiritual journey toward wholeness. This is to give you all the tools that you need in order to cultivate, create, and curate the life that you desire for yourself. So this is about you. This is about you. And I'm grateful that you are here. Take a moment and invite all of your friends, if you will, and we'll get into our conversation in just a few moments. But before we do, I want to remind you that I have 5 new books. 5 new books that are out on Amazon. I'm having a hard time putting these in the right place for the camera. Anyway, that are all on Amazon right now for your downloading. We have Inner Sense, which explores our
inner senses that we have, such as will and perception and intuition. This is a great book for you to begin to understand and access the power that is within you. Then we have also Rediscovering Your Identity and Embracing Your Divinity. This book is an introduction to a much larger and longer conversation that we are going to have and we'll discuss in further books. This is just volume 1 that introduces you to who you truly are, instead of who you've been taught to be or trained to be or domesticated as. This is a great book that you want to begin with and to study. Then we have 2 similar books. One is called The Alchemy of Abundance. It studies the esoteric science of money. Everyone is wanting to know how to manifest money, but money has a personality. Money is energy, and you need to know how to develop a good, healthy relationship with money if you're going to attract more of it into your life. This book gives you a step-by-step guide to how you manifest, manage, move, and create momentum with your money. One that's likened unto it, this one is called Unveiling the Mysteries of Prosperity, the 6 Laws of Abundance. This explores the 6 universal laws that are at work all the time to help you to be able to build a solid financial future. God has no favorites, and the universe doesn't take sides. So there are universal laws that are at place and in place, rather, for every person to be able to access and use to your advantage to manifest money and financial abundance in your life. The final one is called Sacred Fire. This is a page turner. This is a revolutionary book. I'm turning it the wrong way. A revolutionary book. This is about harnessing the power of sexual energy for transformation. This is a book that most religious people will never tell you about, a subject that they'll probably never discuss without the confines of their ideological dogma. But this explores openly and practically the supernatural power that is available to everyone through the sensual, sexual energy that we all have inside of us, and that is God ordained and God blessed. You want to get a copy of this book. It is phenomenal. All of them are available on Amazon for download, or if you'd like to get a signed copy, then you can just shoot me a request in my inbox along with your name and address. I'll give you the price of the book, and I will sign your copy personally and send it out to you immediately. I'd like to get all of these books in your hand. I'd also like to invite those of you who are watching us this morning to become a partner with the Emerge movement. Emerge is a virtual spiritual community that is centered around encouraging, empowering, and lifting each other up and equipping each other on our spiritual journey and our evolutionary path. We are a gathering of great people from all over the United States, an eclectic group with so many diverse points of view and understanding and experiences, but we all come together in the unity surrounding our shared humanity. And there are so many benefits to being a part of our Emerge movement. There are the benefits of our early morning meditation that we do every single morning when we come together to meditate and set our intentions for the day. We have our partner portal. This is a private group and a private portal where we come together to share and look deeper into subjects that we don't discuss here on the general platform. It's a place where we can exchange ideas and we can have open and honest dialogue and conversation. We also have an upcoming annual partner summit where we'll all meet face to face in one place for a time of sharing, enlightenment, but also recreation and fun and a lot of food. So you want to be a part of that. Being a part of our Emerge Empowerment group, our Emerge movement, makes you a part of a family, a community that supports you in your growth without judgment, without judgment, without harsh demands. If you think you'd be interested in being in that kind of group, we're the tribe you've been looking for. All you simply have to do is shoot me an email at the email address that you see on your screen, and then just include 3 simple words: I want in. The moment I get your email, I'll send you out an information packet that explains the entire vision and mission of the Emerge movement. It also includes our partner agreement. The moment you read over it and sign it, you simply send it back to me and you're in. We'll give you an invite into the partner portal and begin to initiate you into this great virtual community. We invite you to come and be a part of the Emerge movement. We got some great t-shirts too. You get a free t-shirt just by becoming a partner with Emerge, designed by me, if I do say so myself. A great looking t-shirt that you'll get along with discounts on all of the Emerge merchandise and books that we have for sale. You have so many advantages to being a part of the Emerge movement. All right, so let's get ready to dive into our conversation for this morning. Good morning to all of you. I'm looking over at the comments. Thank you for inviting and tagging other people. Thank you for inviting them to come and be a part of the conversation. Good morning, Diana, Whitland, and Jamie, and Theresa, Sharon. Good morning to Gloria and Nicole, and to all of the others who may not have made a comment, but you're on here watching with us right now. Thank you for tagging so many others. Where's Toya? We normally have her here with us this morning. She must be tied up. But let's dive into this conversation. I entitled today's conversation, The Greatest of These. That's based upon 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13, where it says, now abideth faith, hope, and love, these 3. But the greatest of these is love. The greatest of these. And we're going to talk about the power and the necessity of love, living a life of love, not only loving God, but loving yourself. I want to begin by quoting a particular text that is found 3 times throughout, well, actually 4 times throughout the Bible, 3 times throughout the gospel. It is where either a scribe or Pharisee or a lawyer or all 3, this just kind of shows you that there's not a continuity of what these writers recorded about this particular event. But in some place it says it was a scribe, another place it says it was a Pharisee, another place it says it was a lawyer. And but the dialogue essentially is the same, where they come and they inquire of the ascended master, that is Jesus, the Christ, and they inquire of him about the law of the commandments that had been given based upon their understanding of the events that took place in the wilderness and Moses's experience on Mount Sinai. They ask him, which are the greatest commandments? And Jesus responds to their question, as disingenuous as it may have been. That's kind of the framework for what the question and how the question was asked, the context of the conversation. But he gives them a very serious and salient response to their question. He answers them and he says, here it is. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God. You're going to love God with all of your might, your strength, your soul, your mind and body. And then he says, and the second commandment is like unto the first. In other words, it's connected and is really merged and almost the same as the first. And he says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. Now, in one of the passages, there's a further inquiry and probing by one of the persons who asked the question and says, well, wait a minute, who is our neighbor? And Jesus goes on to give this parable. I was about to say paraphrase. This parable describing who the neighbor is. We're not going to look at the parable because we kind of understand what that parable is. We'll use a little bit from it here and there as we go through talking about this particular topic. But when we talk about love, we are talking about the essence of God. There's a text in John, 1 John, that says, beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth knoweth God, and he that loveth not knoweth not God, because God is love. It describes God as being, God's very essence, God's very being as love. The term that is used there is agape. In the New Testament Greek, the word is agape. Now, there is no other terminology for love that is used in the New Testament Bible, even though people have come up with all of these different other types of love, familial, Philadelphia, and eros, and so on and so forth, to try and say that there are different types of love. But there is really only one word that is used to define love, and that word is agape. That word agape expresses the unconditional essence and acceptance and inclusion of all things and all beings under the umbrella of the isness and essence of God. It speaks to its transformative power. It speaks to its acceptance of all mankind and all things. It speaks to the very core of the nature of God. God is love. The reason I say that it's transformative and that it is powerful and that it is the nature of God, because now again, 1 John tells us that the very nature and essence of God is love. In another place in 1 John, he says to us, we only love God because it first loved us. Or he says he first, whether he uses the descript of he. We know that God is neither male nor female, but that's just using a universal term. And so he says, we love God because he first loved us. This is very poignant and powerful because it speaks to the transformative power of love. That love not only encompasses, includes, and accepts, but love also is magnetic. It draws to itself, and in drawing to itself, it transforms the subject of its or the focus of its power. When love is directed and focused upon any particular thing, place, or person, it transforms them. Listen to what he says, that we love God not because we innately came into this existence as loving, but because God first loved us. It suggests that the transformative power of love, of God's love for us, was so powerful, is so powerful, that even when we were unconscious of the essence and the being and the love of God for us, the love that God has for us was so intense and so powerful, it drew us into a conscious awareness of God's existence. And in doing so, it began to draw out of us that love that is innately woven and loaded and coded into our structure and our DNA. You see, we were all created in love by love. We were all created with love innately woven into the tapestry of our DNA. We are all loving creatures. We have been taught how to hate, how to reject, how to push people away, how to isolate ourselves or create walls and barriers between us. But we came into this three-dimensional existence innately filled with love. Why? Because we are created as the divine essence or the image and likeness of God. And so if God at its core is love, if God's essence is love, and we are the likeness and the image of God, that is, a divine expression of God in three-dimensional form, then our essence, our core, the center of our being is this magnetic transformative power that we call love. You came loving and accepting. You didn't come into the earth with judgments and criticisms. You didn't enter this three-dimensional existence with prejudices and hatred, resistance, or isolationist ideologies. You didn't enter this three-dimensional form with all of the trappings that come with being raised in a culture and environment and surrounded by influences that teach us and domesticate us to be rejective and hateful and vindictive and vitriolic. But we came here loving. Those of you who have children can remember when your child is born, every child, they're in a position and place and a consciousness of innocence and acceptance. They believe everyone and everything is their friend, that everything is for them and nothing is against them. They have no fear, no doubt, no worry. They have no concerns. They have no guards put up, no walls built around them, but they come as an open and honest, innocent slate, accepting and loving everything and everyone that they encounter. They are taught by the environment, by their culture, by the influences of their life, like their family and friends and loved ones, and religion, society. They are taught that love needs to be not harnessed, but needs to be pulled back, pushed back, and layered over with walls, rejections, protections, with anger and fear and malice and vitriol. We were taught how to hate. We were taught how to be critical and to express criticisms. We were taught to be angry and fearful, to be vindictive and malicious. We didn't come here with any of that in our nature. We came here fully engulfed, encompassed, and reflecting the radiant light of love and illumination. And yet we allow these influences around us to begin to shift us away from our true self and cause us to suppress and bury that innate part of our being deep within the cracks, corners, and crevices of our essence and our being and our mind and consciousness. And we began to react and respond in the ways we've been domesticated to think. Nobody imposed upon you love. Instead, they taught you those things that are counterproductive to love. At your core, you're a good person. You're a kind person. You're a loving person. Not just some people. And this is probably going to upset the apple cart a little bit. I just had a very heated dialogue and exchange back and forth with a group of people on social media over this very point, because society, and especially since the rise of social media and how we are so interconnected across the world through the means of the internet, society, unfortunately, through social media, has a way of bringing out the worst in people, in magnifying and reflecting the very worst, and then not only promoting but supporting the very worst of humanity. We have convinced ourselves that there are some people that are good and others who are evil. I know this is going to be a little controversial. Yes, that there are some people who are innately good and others who are just innately evil. They are just born evil. And then we further the victimization consciousness by saying they are possessed by demons. They were the spawn of Satan or the spawn of the devil, and that they can't help but be evil or wicked and mean and nasty. It's just, that's who they are. It's a part of their DNA. All of that is a lie. The truth of the matter is that all of humanity emanates out of God. Let me say that again. Please think about this critically for a moment. All of humanity, all of life, all beings that exist across the multiverse began in and out of God. And if God, at its core, at its essence, is love, then it means everything that has proceeded out of God is laced in that same love. Unconditional, fully accepting, fully embracing love. So then where do we get these evil people from? They are taught to behave in an evil, vindictive, mean, or nasty way, a malicious way. But we are innately at our core loving beings. The rise of social media promotes this divide and creates wedges between us. And can I say specifically to my people that there is a deliberate attempt to divide us from each other? Look at how many social media platforms and podcasts now all center their conversations around men hating women or women hating men. That men are all dangerous. That if a woman encounters a strange man and a bear in the woods, then she should choose the bear because the man is more dangerous than the bear. That the bear has predictive behavior, that if you don't bother the bear, it won't bother you. I don't know where anyone got that that mindset from, because bears are wild animals and they will attack without provocation. So the idea that bears won't bother you if you don't bother them is ridiculous. But that men, the gender of men and males are unpredictable, evil, vitriolic, and they cannot be trusted. So you would be safer running to the bear than you would running toward a man. Do you see the innate, not innate, but the malignant idea behind these kinds of analogies? Or that, to men, they say, well, hey, look, you got to be careful of all these women because all of them are gold diggers after one thing. And so you had the sprinkle, and then now the drizzle. The women started the sprinkle. You got to give me this material stuff, this, that, and the other, and do this for me. If you want my attention, you got to pay for my attention. And the men said, well, we're going to drizzle now and flip the table. Comedically, I think, at first, but then it became a serious matter where it was like, okay, well, turnabout is fair play. You got to pay for my attention and pay for... and all it's done is create a divide between us, men and women, specifically Black men and Black women, because I happen to think that is the underlying motive of all of these things, is to keep Black people divided and fighting and warring against each other so that we never come together as a unified front. And so this narrative is being promoted through social media that somehow feels like in order to empower women, we have to demonize men. And in order to empower men, we have to demonize women. That in order for there to be successful relationships between men and women, even though some are advocating that there be none now, the whole 4B movement that has started now on social media, where women are saying we don't need men for anything. We can live independently without men. Men serve no real purpose. And of course, now men are coming up with their own idea of the same strategy of like, we don't need women. We can live independent. Do you see how it's creating a divide between us? All of it is idiotic. Can I say for the record, men need women and women need men because we all need each other. That we are all individuations of the same God, that we all come out of the same source. The progenitor of our existence is God, and God's essence is love. And so all of these faux differences and arguments only serve to try and divide us rather than bringing us together so that we work as one cohesive existence of humanity and mankind. I see some comments coming up. Yes, love promotes oneness. Duality promotes separation. That's really good, Theresa. And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that particular principle. Didi says that I think it's hard for people to accept that because people like Ted Bundy, Hitler, Wayne Gacy are considered evil, and people say, how can they come from? Exactly. It does. It creates a paradox. It creates a question within people's mind. How can you say that Hitler or Wayne Gacy or Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer or any of these other people were at their core innately good? But remember the premise for the conversation. We were all born. Hitler wasn't born an evil dictator, nor was John Wayne Gacy or Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer. They were not born these evil, sadistic, murderous people. They were taught to be those things. Conditions and environments around them began to influence their perception, their way of thinking, and they became a version that is of themselves that is abnormal, that is antithetical to their essence. Okay. And here is the thing that that's even more difficult for people to wrap their mind around. But I want you to consider this for a moment. As evil, as the actions. See, we label the person instead of the action. We label the person based upon the action. Ooh, this is good already. Let me say that again. We label the person based upon the action. So if their actions are evil, then we decide and conclude that they are evil. If their actions are malicious, then we determine they are malicious. But let me ask this question of those of you who are listening to me this morning. Do you have any actions that you have taken in your life that you are glad you haven't been labeled as? Have you ever taken an action, done a thing that does not reflect your true nature? Have you ever done, said, or behaved in a manner that you are grateful to this day have not become the defining label of your life? I think we all have. Okay. Oh, I'll see. I'm sorry. Let me get back to the comments over here. Sharon says, I was just in a post conversation about Jeffrey explaining the same. Okay. Explaining the same thing. That's why Jesus asked to forgive them, for they know not what they do. Exactly. Because we've all done things, behaved in ways that we don't want to be the defining characteristic that we are labeled with for our entire life. And so while these people may have done some evil, wicked, malignant things, that does not define who they are. It is human perception that we've been taught again to begin to define people by their worst behavior. And so we begin to label and define them, and we place them within the constraints of the parameters of the perception that we have of them based upon the actions that we've seen them take. But I'm here to tell you that is not any of us at our core. And here's something that may even be more challenging for you to wrap your mind around. As many evil things as all of these people may have done, from Hitler to John Wayne Gacy to Jeffrey Dahmer to Ted Bundy, and so on, so many other people, in every instance, there were people in their life that they loved and that loved them. I want you to sit with that for a moment. I want you to sit with that for a moment, because we tend to think that because their evil actions were so profound that there was never anyone that loved them, and they didn't love anybody. But there were people in every instance in the lives of those people that they loved and who loved them. So clearly they had the capacity and the capability of love. To begin to paint an entire people with a broad brush of generalities based upon the very evidential history, and it is, you can't erase the history or the actions or the malevolent behavior, but to then come to the conclusion, because of a history, a recorded, documented history of a particular behavior, now we're going to decide that everyone who falls into that category is now guilty of those things. And not only guilty, but fully capable of those things. That's where the whole bear in the woods thing falls short. It assumes that because of a minuscule number of maladaptive vitriolic behaviors by men, that all men can be painted with this one broad brush, and every woman should be fearful and calculating and careful when encountering anyone that's male. It's the flaw in the argument where men say, well, all women are gold diggers. It is taking now the wicked actions, behaviors, greed of a few people, a documented history of occurrences, and now deciding that I am going to surmise that all women fall under this category. And so all men should be wary and fearful of women because they all want one thing. You don't know what they're going to do. They're deceitful and evil and wicked. All men are violent and evil and fearful and misogynistic. So you should fear all men. Be cautious of all men. Protect yourself from all men. It is idiotic. It is nonsensical. It is counterproductive. It is destructive to humanity and specifically to the Black community. When people set forth an ideology whose entire purpose is to create a wedge of division and separation, whether that's between genders or races or nationalities or religions, that is wicked. That's wicked. I don't care how you slice it, how, intelligently you can discuss it, and how many studies you can cite and say, well, statistics show and studies show this, that, and that. Those are samplings of a minuscule number of human beings, but they do not define human behavior for the entire masses. And they do not set real probabilities. Let me say that again. Oh, goodness, I know I'm going to make some people mad. It does not define or set real probabilities. Anyone who is a student of statistics know you can make statistics say whatever you want them to say. You can find a statistic to contradict the statistic, and then another statistic that contradicts that statistic, and you can continue to come up with different studies that all contradict the others. You can get the numbers and fudge them in such a way and present them in such a way to make any argument that you want. But the underlying purpose of it all is the same: to create division and fear. Are you understanding what I'm saying? To drive a wedge into human society. Teresa says, Hitler killed thousands, and you wonder, is he going to hell? But then you believe the Bible, to hell. But you believe the Bible that says God is going to put you in a burning inferno for eternity. But somehow it makes sense, right? So, according to the biblical ideology from Christianity is that Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, Hitler, and all of these other people who did these heinous acts are going to be in the same hell, standing right next to the person who lusted. or stole a nickel, or committed adultery. This one cheated on his husband, or on his wife, or her husband, or her husband, or her wife. This one slaughtered millions of people side by side in the same hell to burn throughout all eternity. And that hell is an expression of the unconditional love of God. Does that even make sense? God sent you to hell because he loves you. No, God didn't send you to hell. You sent yourself to hell. Somebody had to create hell. So God created this hell. The unconditional love of God, loving God, created this hell just in case somebody would choose to go there because they didn't feed into the ego of God. Come on, people. That's a whole nother conversation right there. Okay? All right. Sharon says, but then the scriptures teach that all things are reconciled back to God. Folks push what they want exactly. Because, there are places where the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, they all contradict themselves and contradict each other in some places because they were written by men. So, of course, there's contradiction. But there is this principle that all of humanity is reconciled to God, that is made one with God, reminded of their oneness with the divine, with the all of everything. And God at its core, God at its essence, God at the substratum of its existence is love. And since we all proceed out of God, since we all emanate from the bowels of God, since we are all divine individuations, expressions, and vehicles of God in three-dimensional form, then woven into our DNA, woven into the tapestry of our existence as a spirit being, is the very essence and isness of God, which is love. We all are loved, and we are all loved, and we are all capable of loving. We have the capacity to love. It is why we are instructed that the two most powerful commandments given by God or given to humanity are to love God with all of your mind, body, soul, and spirit, with all of your being, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Let's unpack what those two principles are trying to tell us. The first one, when he says, here is the first and greatest of the commandments. He says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart. That's all your passion, your cardia, from the Greek word cardia, from which we get cardio, the heart muscle. So it's not speaking about the literal functional organ, but it is talking about the heart represents our passion. So he says, you shall love the Lord your God with passion. You should have passionate love, attachment, affinity for God. Listen to this. Love God with all of your heart, your passions, your affinity, your attachments, your affection, and with all of your soul. That is your consciousness, your mind, your thoughts, your intuition, your perception, your imagination. You are loving God with all of our soul. So our passions, that's the heart, and our soul, conscious awareness. Then he says, and with all of your mind. The mind / your body, your physical being. Okay? that you should love God with all of your intellectual capacity as well as your physical capacity. But since the scriptures teach, and all principles across every sacred text in every religious expression teaches that we are all individuations of the same God, that we are created in the likeness and the image of God. When we talk about loving God, we are talking about loving ourselves or expressing our love for God by how we love ourselves. Woo, let me say that again. We are talking about how we express our love for God in how we love ourselves, mind, body, soul, and spirit. How we care for ourselves reflects our love, affection, passion, attachment to God. Man, I know that one right there is a little bit challenging, but it also should bring some light and illumination to you. It should breathe a breath of fresh air and open up new windows of understanding and opportunity. How you love and care for yourself. Listen to what I'm saying to you. How you love and care for your body, for your soul, for your spirit, for your mind is a reflection of your commitment, affection, passion, affinity for God. Can I unpack that even further? Let's take them one by one. How you love, treat, how generous you are, because the greatest expression of love is generosity. How generous you are with your body is a reflection of your passion, attachment, and affinity for God. There is a text in the Bible that says that your body, well, he says, know ye not. Yes, don't you understand that your body is the temple or the dwelling place or the place of habitation for God? That God is not some man sitting on a cloud with a beard and a scepter in his hand, sitting on the circumference of the world, sitting high and looking low, but that God is ever present in you, through you, and as you. That your body, this three-dimensional form of tissue and cells and organs and sinew and flesh and bones, is the housing vessel. It is the host for the all of everything, that God, the Creator, resides in you, through you, and as you. The same text goes on to suggest so that if you abuse this body, if you defile this temple, if you are hurting this form, this vessel, you are destroying the dwelling place or one of the dwelling places of God itself. So it infers the importance of loving yourself physically. How you care for your body is a reflection of your passion and attachment to God. Now, you won't hear this one talked about very much in religious circles, because the truth of the matter is that in most religious circles, especially among Christianity and the preachers, teachers, leaders of Christianity, and not to mention the followers and the congregants, 98% of them abuse their body. I know what I'm talking about. I grew up in it. I was a preacher, and all of you know, for over 45 years, pastoring for years. And the things that we do to our body, the food we eat, the lack of sleep, the lack of rest, the lack of relaxation and recreation, the stress, the pressure. Are you hearing what I'm saying? The frustration, aggravation that we heap upon ourselves, the unhealthy amounts of food, calories, not to mention chemicals that we put into our body, the lack of exercise and connectivity with nature that we regularly give our body is a reflection of our lack of passion for the very temple in which, or the vessel that houses the presence and the essence of God. People worry about you going and sitting on a communion table, or smoking in the mosque, or cussing in the synagogue. Those are just three-dimensional buildings that mean absolutely nothing. The real temple, the real sanctuary, the real dwelling place of the Spirit of God is that three-dimensional form that you're sitting on right now. What are you doing to make your body healthier? To take care of? Do you understand? And I got this insight from a communion and communication with God, and I was shocked to hear it. It jarred me and set me on a path to begin to correct some of my behaviors and my treatment of my own human form. When I heard God say to me clearly, I designed the body, your human form, to last for centuries. You are the ones who limited its lifespan by abusing it. Did you hear what I just said? Straight off the press, hot out of the mouth of God itself. It said, I designed your human form to live for centuries, to house and encase my divine eternal spirit, to have an elongated experience within this three-dimensional world. But you chose, as a divine being, to shorten that time period by how you chose to handle the vessel. Man, that changed everything for me. It changed everything for me. And anybody that's ever been overweight like myself knows that it's much harder trying to get back in shape than it is to maintain a healthy lifestyle in a healthy shape. But both can be done. And both are a reflection of your love and attachment and affection for God. How many fat preachers and prophets do you know? Bishops do you know? Fat imams and gurus, fat rabbis who are just vastly, morbidly obese, all the while teaching you about self-control and temperance and to refrain from doing this or that, but they can't even control what they eat. They can't even control an exercise regimen. Ooh, I know I'm hitting hard right now. Lord have mercy. I was guilty. I'm working hard to be different now, but I was guilty for a very long time, Powerful preaching, anointed preaching, and dying slowly. Well, no, not slowly, quickly. Because I was constantly abusing this form. Staying up to 2 and 3 in the morning, going to sleep and trying to survive off 2 hours of sleep. Come on. not caring for your physical form, eating all kinds of processed food, overeating foods that are even healthy. Even healthy foods you can eat too much of. Too much of anything is not healthy. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Let me come to the comments again real quick. I know when I was in ministry, I did late night eating. Yes, getting on planes to go and preach with the flu. I left the hospital one time, Sharon, after undergoing major surgery. Okay? Not the day after, the same day as my surgery. I signed myself out AMA because I had an engagement to go and preach. And so in my stupidity, but I thought was spiritual mind, I said, I'm not going to let the devil keep me from my assignment, and signed myself out of the hospital. Had someone to drive me to the engagement, walked in there almost doubled over, holding my side, still bleeding from the wound of the surgery, and preached. Could have killed my crazy self. Because it was my assignment. And then she says, and then fasting for power. How stupid and ridiculous. I can't count the number of times I went to the pulpit sick as a dog. And the sickness, the result of me not caring for my body. That's the only reason I was sick. That's the only reason for the problems I was having. But I went to that pulpit because I felt that's my calling. And if I'm going to die, I'll die preaching. Like that was a badge of honor. Oh, I used to say it all the time. I want to leave here preaching the gospel. Just let me preach and sit down and release my spirit. I thought I was being deep and spiritual. I was being stupid. I can't count how many times I ran to the pulpit preaching, knowing I was sick. The day that I had 5 massive heart attacks back to back that ended up with me having open heart surgery and having to have bypasses done on my heart, dying on the table twice, was an evening that I went into the church knowing I wasn't feeling well, feeling the tightness in my chest after years of abusing my body, being overweight, eating the wrong foods, not taking care of myself, stood there in that pulpit feeling sick, but determined I got to fulfill this assignment and preach this revelation. And got up there, and you know how we do in the black church, preached and the hooped and the hollered and yelled and went on and did all the spiritual calisthenics, and then collapsed and had to be rushed to the hospital. And the next thing I know, they were transporting me to another hospital in a larger city in Macon, Georgia, to cut my chest open. The doctors in the emergency room having to give me heparin and all of these other drastic measures just to keep me alive. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We did some silly, stupid, crazy stuff. Church people, look through most of the church. Look in the congregation and see how many overweight, unhealthy people do you see. Dancing and shouting and rolling and kicking and but don't have enough power to push back that plate and to get on the treadmill or to walk around a track or to shrink their portion sizes. You got all this power. Bind up the devil. I cast it out. But you can't push back from the table. You don't love yourself and love God enough to take care of the temple, the dwelling place, the housing, the vessel through which God operates, moves, and functions in this three-dimensional world. You don't love God enough to take care of the house of God. You busy cleaning up a building and trying to build these big monstrosities as a testament to your own ego, but the real temple of God is laying in ruins. The real temple of God is lying in ruins. I know I'm talking to a bunch of people this morning. There's a bunch of people that's not even on this live that need to be on here. You need to send it to all your fat preacher friends. Send this to all your fat preacher friends, all the fat saints that you know, all the overweight, out of shape, unhealthy saints that you know, who are condemning and sending everybody to hell for this, that, or the other. Yet they are the ones who are demonstrating their lack of passion, attachment, and affection for God by actively neglecting and destroying and abusing the dwelling place, the most important dwelling place of the presence of God. Send it to them. Send it to them. Tell them I said so. If you got to clip the whole broadcast down to just that little piece right there. That ain't all, everything else that you call not of God, you know, that ain't of God. You playing that kind of music in the church. They dancing in the church. That ain't of God. That's of the devil. These witches coming in the church and warlocks and working. What they need to work a spell on you for when you killing your own crazy self? Why does anyone need to cast a curse on you when you're cursing yourself? Because you won't take care of you. You won't get enough rest. You won't go on vacation. You won't relax. You won't eat right. You won't exercise. You constantly gorging yourself with those things that are processed and unhealthy and chemically fed. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Do you understand that those of you who have had the opportunity to travel outside of the United States and go to other countries, that in many other developed countries like Europe and France, many, if not most of the foods that we eat in the United States, they are illegal in those countries because they are not real food. The same companies that sell us all of this fake processed, chemically enhanced food in America are selling in those countries, but they sell them pure, organic foods because their governments won't allow them to poison their people. But this government, our government, doesn't mind you being poisoned by the food industry because it keeps big pharma and the medical industry rich, from which they all profit. So they profit from the industrialized food that they give you, and they profit from the outsized medical expenses that they're going to charge you to try and resuscitate your worn down, torn down, God-given temple that was designed to last for centuries. Ooh, I know I sound political, but I'm being spiritual, man. I'm telling you some truth. They market us poison food in this country, especially all the time. And they call it organic and healthy, and knowing full well that it's pumped full of chemicals, that there is a certain standard set by the FDA for them to be able to call something organic or healthy. It simply means that you have to have less poison in it than the regular food. Not that you don't have poison in it, you just have a lesser amount of poison, and then we'll allow you to call it organic and healthy. Wild caught, farm raised. We'll allow you to say that this is healthy, even though it's still poisonous. Come on. Come on. Sharon said, I was most healthy when I stayed in Israel. I felt the difference within a few days of being back. Exactly. Man, I did a series of crusades over in Europe, and I felt better when I finished that crusade than I had in I don't know how long. I got back to the States, and it's like food didn't even taste the same anymore. And all of a sudden, I felt that same old heaviness and weighed it down. And it didn't click for me that it was the food until much later, years later. Now I'm realizing it was the food. Yes. Or when I would travel to northern Canada to Indian reservations, like, with the Waskaganish, the Cree Indians there, and misogyny and misogynish rather, and other Indian reservations where they ate from the land. And yeah, there were some things that I were unfamiliar with, like bear meat and other things of that sort, but it was good. The food was good. And then to come back to the United States and start eating the same chemically enhanced stuff that I was eating before. Because the chemicals enhance the flavor and makes it taste good and addictive. There's a reason why you can't stop eating the snacks. And when they tell you Lay's potato chip, no one can eat just one. There's a reason for that. It's not because the potato chip, it's because of what they put in it. That's almost addictive. There's a reason why you crave the candies and the sugar and the salt and the savoriness that comes from all of these different fast food joints. That's what they put in it. And the whole time you are destroying the temple of the all of everything. I pick on Dee Dee all the time, Whitland, all the time, because she's one of the most healthy eaters I know. And even some of the stuff that she's eating that's supposed to be healthy is not necessarily healthy because it's still chemically enhanced. It just has less poison than the stuff that I was eating. But she's a very conscientious and healthy person about what she should drink. These nasty concoctions of beet juice and ginger and apple in it. Nothing tasty or savory about that. Nothing addictive about that. But give you a good old Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola or Mountain Dew and you keep coming back. Because they make sure they include chemicals that addict you to the taste, and nothing else satisfies you like it does. And you shouting and speaking in tongues and proclaiming how much power in God you got, but you don't have enough power to push back some pig feet, fried chicken, collard greens, and macaroni and cheese, or to eat it in small portions so that you don't blow up like an elephant. Does your love for your body reflect your love for God? Or does it reflect your lack of passion, attachment, affinity for God? The aforementioned Dee Dee, she said, this is true. A lot of our foods are banned in other countries, which is sad. It's true. She goes on to say, even the fruits we buy from the grocery store, half of our fruit does not even have seeds anymore because they're genetically modified. That is absolutely true. Everything is seedless because we think the scientists have understood that that's what the consumer wants. They don't want to be bothered with seeds. So we will genetically alter these things, these fruit, so that they are seedless. When have you ever known a fruit to grow without seed? As long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest will never cease. Yet now they are eliminating the seed and just producing the harvest, lab-grown meat. So you don't even need insemination anymore. We'll just take some tissue cells and DNA and create lab-grown meat. And it is now legal in the United States for restaurants to serve lab-grown meat. And you don't even know what you're eating. All for profit, all for the mighty dollar. Come on. And so you done preached hard and got everybody slain in the spirit and laid out on the floor, but you can barely breathe afterwards because you so fat and out of shape. And then after church, when it's 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, some 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, now you looking for somewhere to go and feed your face. And then go lay down on it. Preacher, missionary, evangelist, man and woman of God. You done did a whole seminar on the spirit of Jezebel, but you ain't done none on that spirit of greed, have you? The spirit of gluttony. I don't hear nobody talking about that spirit of gluttony, greed, fat, overweight, sloppy, nasty, greasy Negroes sweating chicken grease. Why are you up preaching? Ain't nobody gonna talk to me now. Jamie says high fructose corn syrup that makes you more addictive. Absolutely. And MSG and so many other chemicals. I started a large garden for this reason, but I'm told that they're now putting stuff in the soil and the seed. It's true. It's so hard for you to find organic seeds. And then you have to worry about the chemicals that have been poured into the soil throughout the United States. What's great? Are you talking about that beet juice stuff, Nicole? Ew. Yeah. Ew. Yuck. It might be great for you, but it does not taste great. You're not going to convince me that that tastes great. No, I'm not buying that. I'll buy that it's good for you, but you ain't going to convince me that that tastes good. Okay. Well, our love for God should be reflected in how we love and care for the temple of God. That's the body. Can I go further? Oh man, it's already been almost an hour and a half. Great day. Because remember, it says love God with your whole body, but also your soul and your mind. How you love your soul reflects your love, passion, and affinity and attachment for God. Before I dive in, let me take this comment real quick. Gloria says, for the past few years, my husband and I guess she's saying, we've been growing our own garden. See, I want to learn to do that. I told y'all I have a brown thumb. I killed a cactus. I can't seem to grow nothing. But I really want to learn how to do that so I can start planting my own garden. I'm terrible at it. She says, we save our seeds when we use, when we use buckets. We no longer put the seeds in the grill. We have a 5-gallon bucket that we use, and we're trying to get our neighbors to do the same thing, and we can swap out seeds. We don't have to go to the grocery store and buy stuff that they are selling, the wax stuff on apples and fruits and stuff like that, because they grow there. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the goal. That's something that I'd really want to get into, and I just need somebody to teach me a little bit about horticulture, agriculture, because I promise you, I can't seem to keep a simple cactus alive. I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at it. Oh my goodness. I am absolutely terrible at it. Okay. She goes on to say, you can use a 5-gallon bucket. You don't have to dig up the dirt to use a 5-gallon bucket to put your plant or your garden in. Oh, so you can start your garden in a 5-gallon bucket. That's true. We've done cabbages, cantaloupe, string beans, tomatoes, cucumbers, egg. I'm coming to your house to do some grocery shopping. I ain't buying fruit and vegetables from the store no more. I'm going to Gloria's house and get some vegetables and fruit that I know where they came from. Goodness. Whatever you grow in your garden, you can do. You can do it. You can grow some things in the house. Look at that. You need to teach me, Gloria. I'm serious. I know I mentor you on the spiritual. I need you to mentor me on gardening. I'm terrible. But I can learn. I'm willing to learn. Okay. I know that's right. Dee Dee says, wow, Gloria, that's awesome. It is, isn't it? It's amazing. She goes on to say, and when it gets grown, I'll let you know. Okay, you think I'm playing, Gloria. I will drive over to Maryland and come get me some groceries. She said we try and get our neighbors to do the same thing, and we grow different things. That way we don't have to go to the grocery store. Oh my goodness, that's so smart. That is so wise. Okay? Everybody chiming in. Let me get over here. Things that are good for us don't taste good. The things that are bad for us taste good. Why does it have to be that way, Nicole? Why can't it be good for you and taste good? Not everything. There are some things that are good for us that taste good too. Like I like apples, oranges, mandarins. I like those things. Tomatoes, onions, beans, just beets. I love the taste of ginger. It's the beets part that's just can't. Nah. Jamie says Gloria has a green thumb. She should know. That's her mom. Okay. Gloria said it's really simple. It's really simple. We say we bought when we buy fruit, vegetables, and things like that, and they have seeds. We save them and let her dry out for the next year. I'm going to learn everything I can from you. And Nicole says, beets are great for your heart, oxygen flow, and may have other health benefits. I am certain that they are. I've read some of that information, but there are other things that are good for your heart as well, that I don't have to consume those nasty beets. Okay? She says, so true, especially when it comes to children. And you know what? If we start to train our children from the earliest years to eat healthy foods, they'll grow up acquiring a taste for healthy foods. We feed them snacks and junk food all the time because it's convenient. And so they grow up craving McDonald's, Burger King. My daughter would rather eat Burger King than an actual hamburger. She would rather eat Burger King than any home-cooked meal. She loves Burger King, Chick-fil-A, and all of it because she was brought up eating that kind of junk. Okay? Okay, everybody's giving me recipes and everything else in there. All right. So, but yeah, and you're not going to get me to eat beets. I don't care how much y'all tell me to add this, that, and the other. You can have just shit. Okay. Just like I probably couldn't get some of you to eat chitlins. You're not going to get me to eat beets. That's just not going to happen. There's a lot of other healthy options I can take. Y'all can keep the beets for yourself. But it's not about just loving God through your body. It's also loving God through your soul. What are you doing to nurture and nourish your soul? Your love for your soul, how you treat your soul, is a reflection of your love, affection, attachment, and affinity for God. How much time do you spend nurturing and nourishing your soul through mindful meditation, through transcendental meditation, or just embracing nature, connecting with the earth, or creating circles of empowering friends in a tribe, a soul tribe of people who are interconnected with you that can feed you words of affirmation, encouragement, enlightenment that builds up your soul. It's quiet as it's kept, and I'm going to probably make a few enemies with this statement as well. Dancing and shouting does not nurture your soul. All the huckabuck and dancing, it profits the human body. That's a little bit of exercise. That's about all the exercise most church folk get. We can, but you ain't gonna get on no treadmill. But we'll show up huck and buck. But that doesn't nurture your soul. Nurturing your soul is enhancing, acknowledging, and increasing the connectivity and merger of your soul with spirit, feeding it what causes it to grow and develop and evolve, feeding it insight, research, understanding, knowledge, intellect, reminding it, reconfiguring it, nurtures the soul. There's a reason why you can get people to come out in droves for a concert, but you can't get that many people to come to a symposium. Because the concert feeds their emotion, which is a part of your soul. But the real enhancement of the soul is insight, intellect, knowledge, revelation, understanding. And you can get very few people to come. There's a reason why praise and worship, which again nurtures and nourishes the soul in its emotions, its intimacy. It can be an hour long, but the teaching needs to be kept within 30 to 45 minutes. You go an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours like we are doing here. That's just too much. You long-winded. Don't nobody want to hear all of that. Yet that is what is nurturing and nourishing to the soul. When's the last time you read a book? I mean, not read a piece of the book, read the entire book, meditated on it, regurgitated the information, practically applied the principles that you gained from the book. When's the last time you walked in nature barefoot, hugged a tree, put your feet in water, soaked up the sun? When's the last time you did some research and study? Not to preach, not to write a book, not to set out a strategy, just for the sake of learning. When's the last time you turned on PBS instead of a Real Housewives of Atlanta? Or you turned on the news instead of a Lifetime movie? Or you fed your mind, your soul, your intellect with insight, understanding, curiosity, and adventure instead of another reality show or a comedy or adventure or suspense? When's the last time you laughed until you cried? You laughed uncontrollably. You danced when like nobody was looking. Who's your soul tribe? Who are the people that you run to, connect with, that you can laugh and enjoy and share and dialogue with? And it's not judgment and not fear and not condemnation, but just feeding each other, gaining from the collective energy of your group gathered in one place. Hmm? How many soulmates, misconception, soulmates have nothing to do with romance. This is not about romance, sensuality, sexuality. This is about a connectivity of souls. How many soulmates, soul friends, soul connections do you have? And please let go of that egoic, psychotic, religious ideology that, oh no, everybody can't be a soul connection. I can't be close to folk because I'm too anointed. I'm too powerful. I'm too great. Where God is taking me, I got to walk this road alone. Nonsense. That's bull hockey. That's a bunch of religious propaganda and rhetoric. No person is an island, and you were not put here to walk alone. Even the protagonist in your story, which is Jesus, didn't walk alone. He had 12 others who walked with him, 3 others who were even in his closest inner circle. Come on. And there's a plethora. The entire Bible is littered with different narrative stories, allegories, and metaphors of people gaining, growing, evolving, and being able to take advantage of extraordinary moments because of their friends, because of their connections, because of their community. Who's your community? Do you have one? That's what Emerge is about. It is a spiritual, virtual community. I wish you could see our group chat that we have going on in the Emerge portal, and everyone exchanging different things about themselves and ideas and experiences and places they've been and lived. And it's a wonderful cornucopia of a woven tapestry of diversity and beauty amongst those who have found community in partnership. Everyone needs a spiritual community. Everyone needs a soulful community that you can draw from. Everyone needs that connectivity with other people in humanity, other souls who are making the same journey that you are, while they may be following a different path. What do you do to nurture your soul? Okay? What are you doing to nurture and replenish and fuel your soul? What about affirmative prayer? How often do you pray and affirm, decree and declare? Not the whole emotional religious tribeca, but I'm saying really earnestly, intuitively look inward, introspectively, to look inside and then reimagine yourself, your life, your existence, your experience to the point where it shifts your perspective, changes your language, and informs your actions. You begin to act differently because your soul has expanded and evolved into new areas of growth. When's the last time you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable? Ooh, ooh, whew. I just struck a nerve right there. When's the last time you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable? You've opened yourself and removed your walls and tucked down your boundaries and allowed other soulful beings to enter your space and nurture and love on you as you nurture and love on them. How you care for your soul is a reflection of your love and affinity and attachment to God. How do you care for your body? How do you care for your soul? How do you care for your mind? How do you care for the totality of your being? When do you prioritize you? When do you prioritize you? I know you're a good person because you rip and run for everybody else. Always there, Johnny on the spot to serve and give and do for others. That's wonderful. But when do you prioritize you? I'm looking at you, Diana. Oh, I didn't mean to call you out like that. Yes, I did. When do you prioritize you? I say that because I know Diana well, and I know that she's one of the most giving people that I know, and she is constantly ripping and running herself ragged for everybody. And there are others on here that are the same way. But when do you prioritize you? Go get your hair done, your nails done, sit in a chair and let somebody massage your feet. Take yourself to the spa, get a facial. Go and relax and rest. When do you prioritize you? Take a bubble bath with scented candles and soft music and just relax and escape within your own mind. When do you prioritize you? Pull yourself out of the rat race in your pursuit of money and success and generational wealth and just take time to bless your own soul and love on your own body. When do you embrace your sensual and sexual self? Or do you lead a life of repression, regression, holding it down because some religious dogma told you that it was evil or wicked or nasty outside of the bounds of what they've decided is marriage, or what the United States rather has decided as to be marriage? Because the laws of the United States do not define marriage and relationship for God. God's idea of love and relationship was around long before there was a United States that required a license. But when's the last time you expressed your sensual, sexual, loving, emotional, passionate self? Openly, fully embraced it and allowed yourself to bask in the euphoria that it provides and brings to you without guilt, without judgment, without shame. Loving you expresses and reflects your love for God. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your body, soul, and mind and strength, with all of your being. Present your body a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. When's the last time you loved on you? The powerful, transformative essence of love has to begin with you before it can spread abroad to others. You have to locate and embrace the love in you for you before you can adequately, effectively, impactfully, earnestly give it to anyone else. Ooh, let me say that again. You have got to locate, embrace, and enact the essence and power of love in you for you before you can adequately, impactfully, effectively, passionately give that love to anyone else. Love your body. Love on your soul. Love your mind. Love your spirit. Love your entire being. And in doing so, you reflect your love for God. And then it makes it easier. It becomes automatic when you start, for you to start rather loving your neighbor as you love you. The greatest assumption in the Bible ever made is that verse right there. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. The assumption is that you love yourself. It just assumes that you love yourself. So then, therefore, you're able to love your neighbor. It infers that you cannot effectively love your neighbor if you don't effectively love yourself. Because when you truly, intensely, and intimately and passionately begin to love yourself, you become more consciously aware of your oneness, your interconnectedness with all of humanity, and you recognize that loving my neighbor is loving myself because they are just a different version of me. We are all the same individuations and expressions of God, unique in form, but all emanating from the same source and the same spirit and the same existence, the same essence. So when I love you, I'm loving me. I am loving me through you, as you. So it begins here, prioritizing you, loving you intensely, deeply, passionately, thoroughly, comprehensively. And then it bleeds over into your now loving others as you love yourself. So my encouragement to those of you who are tuned in this morning is that you now become consciously aware and proactive in truly loving your body, taking care of it, making it healthy, maintaining it, loving your soul, nourishing and nurturing it, loving your mind, feeding it with those things that expand its growth and potential, loving your spirit by embracing and opening it to all that is embedded and loaded and coated within it, allowing that a luminous light to shine into every crack, corner, and crevice of your being. And in doing so, you begin to love others as in the same manner, with the same intensity, with the same impact and passion as you love yourself. Amen. Amen Ra. Boy, this was a good conversation. This was a really, really good conversation. I'm so glad we had this time to share together. I hope that you'll take this particular broadcast, this video, and that you will listen to it again and again as a reminder to yourself that it is very substantially spiritual for you to take care of your health, for you to take care of your soul, for you to take care of your mind, your mental health, your emotional health. We didn't even really go deep into mental health, emotional well-being. That's a whole nother can of worms. And your spiritual well-being. It should be preeminent in your life that those things are prioritized. I hope that that's what you received out of this conversation, this dialogue that we've had this morning. Okay. I want to give you an opportunity to worship now this morning. The greatest and grandest and highest form of worship is giving. Giving is the highest expression of generosity, and generosity is the highest expression of our true essence, which is love. Love is expressed through generosity. Generosity is expressed through giving. Giving is the greatest form of worshiping God. And so I want to give you an opportunity to worship through your giving this morning by showing your support for me and for this platform. If you were impacted positively by what you heard today and the conversation that took place here, then I'm going to ask you to sow a liberal, bountiful seed into this platform, into my life, as a show of your appreciation, but also as a seed that is going to germinate and create a circle and cycle of prosperity, increase, and abundance in your life. There's a principle in the scriptures that teach that what you make happen for another, God and the universe in turn makes happen for you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so I'm going to ask you to sow your seeds this morning, those of you who are partners, and you know what we're asking of you to do. You also know what's coming in June. I'm not saying that on the general platform, but we all know. We know beforehand. We know what to expect and what to prepare for. So I'm asking you to make sure that you follow the financial fitness plan that you've been given in the partner portal. Those of you who are part of this general audience, if you'd like to know about that plan, become a partner with the Emerge movement, and you'll learn all about it in the partner portal. This morning, you can give using any of the following platforms that you see on your screen. We have Cashapp, Zelle, PayPal, and Venmo. And you can see the information that you need in order to be able to express your generosity. We want to thank you in advance for your support, for your love, for your expressions of appreciation that you are doing this morning. Go ahead and take a moment and do it right now before we go off the air so that you don't forget about it when you get busy doing other things throughout this day. Go ahead and sow your seed, give your gift, express your love, make your sacrifice right now. We appreciate all that you do to help build this platform. We appreciate all that you do to express your appreciation for what you are learning and gaining from tuning in to these conscious conversations. Thank you again for tuning in, for being a part of the conversation. And I look forward to encountering all of you again next week at the same time, 9 a.m., for our next Emerge empowerment session. Until then, you have an absolutely wonderful day. Do something good for yourself. Change your mindset and practically apply the principles you learned today. Love on your body, love on your soul, love on your mind, love on your spirit. And in doing so, you reflect your love for God.
Some of you are even afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
You've been listening to Apostle Isaac Miles, the disruptive innovator, a mentor, an author, a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, and the founder and spiritual director at emergelec Life Enrichment Center. Please take a minute to subscribe, like, and share this page. If you'd like to become a partner, you can do so by emailing us at emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. Again, that's emerge.lifecenter@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for watching.